Homesteading Barbie. Today I'm going to be talking to you about how to germinate your own seeds. Starting your seeds is a wonderful skill to have. It takes a minute to get good at it, but if you do it every year and you just it's a numbers game. So you start a bunch, and of the 40 that you started, maybe 30 will make it, and maybe of those 30 that you plant, maybe 20 will survive, and of those 20 that survive, you can pick maybe 5 that you want, so you get to have some options, which is nice. And then those others you can give to your neighbors or other people in your community that don't have those. When you start seeds, you're inevitably going to end up with like way too much zucchini and like no tomatoes, and that's just sort of how it goes at first. You can plan around that. Obviously, that's not a great thing to have happen, but then you just buy starts and it's not the end of the world. Now, if it is the end of the world in like an SHTF sort of situation, you do want to have this skill, because this is the food that's going to be the only food that you have, maybe. So it really is worth learning. Speaking of learning, you start with books and blogs. This is a great book. This is called The Vegetable Gardener's Bible. I absolutely love this book. And the wonderful thing about it is that it takes you through step by step everything that you need to know. Now, it's a lot, and it can be very, very overwhelming for beginning gardeners. But here's the thing: if you just start and you learn a bunch, and then you learn some more, and every year you learn more from trial and error and from books and blogs and neighbors that also grow, and learning from experience and things like that. And it's a really fun thing. You want to make sure that you're planting things that you're going to use. So for example, I did a bunch of pumpkin pie pumpkins, the sugar pumpkins, last year. That is a wonderful thing to grow. I love pumpkins. My husband loves pumpkin. My dogs and my chickens, everyone will eat it. I can can it, and then I can pull it out. And a can of pumpkin is like $7. So that is a really great thing to have on hand. Now, something like eggplant, my husband doesn't really like it. My dogs definitely won't eat it. I eat maybe 2 eggplants a year. I enjoy it. I just don't eat that much. So having like 4 eggplant plants is ridiculous. Maybe 1 would do, or none if I don't want to give up the garden space for it. If you have something, so I had these big, beautiful thyme plants that really exploded, maybe like the size of this table. They really took off. I don't need 2 huge thyme plants, so I ripped one out. Now I have all that space. So once you start gardening a lot, you're going to realize that your space, you really, really want to plan accordingly. So speaking of planning accordingly, you are limited by the environment that you live in. That's just a fact. So where you live and the climate that you live in is going to dictate what you're able to grow, how long you're able to grow, and what you're going to be successful with and what you're not. Now, you can fudge it a little bit by starting your seeds early. This is a really wonderful way to do it that I like a lot. And the little seedlings turn out so good. So I put my seeds in with some coffee filters. You can also use paper towels, or you can use newspaper, and just put them in this little Ziploc bag with a straw. You want to make sure that they have plenty of air. Just put that in, whoop, just like that. And then they have a nice little greenhouse. Now you have about a month or so to let them do their thing. These have been in here for a while. You can see they have that first little cotyledon, that first little sprig of green going on. So that's a good sign. That's what you want to see. I absolutely love homegrown tomatoes. It's one of my most favorite things, and I grow a bunch of them. So I'm going to plant these bad boys and have all kinds of yummy things to eat in the fall. Now, that is a wonderful thing to plan for. So let's say I only have one spot that gets good full sun where my tomatoes are just going to go off. Now, it's obviously a better thing if I can rotate things. So maybe put my cucumbers there one year and kind of swap things around, which I like to do. However, if you can't, you can kind of fudge it by amending the soil as much as you can. So getting bat guano, maybe some chicken poop with hay on it. Now I do that. I use my chicken poop with hay on it, or with the hay, in the fall so that it has all winter. I clear out all of my dead stuff, and then I put the chicken poo and with the hay, and then some diatomaceous earth over it so that all the unwanted bugs can prematurely die, which is a really good thing to do. Also, the diatomaceous earth is going to give really good silica to the soil. I like to put a little bit of crushed eggshells. That does kind of the same thing, but also gives it a lot of really good calcium. Another awesome thing would be some banana peels, maybe some used coffee grounds. All these things are just going to marinate all winter, and you'll be ready to plant in the spring. I also like to throw a few things out there like onion and garlic, things that can overwinter, so that in the spring they're just ready to go do their thing. When the weather is nice out there, they're going to be growing. When it's not, they're not going to be too affected, so it's going to be fine. Now, another really wonderful thing about doing your own seeds is that you can do from seed to seed. So you can start collecting your own seeds, which is super valuable, especially in an SHTF sort of situation. Now, I collected my own spinach seeds. The way that you do that is you let it go a year. So your spinach happened, and instead of pulling it out, you let that go, and then that next fall, it's going to start to give you seeds. And the other wonderful thing is, while I was collecting my seeds, inevitably, a bunch of seeds fell off. So as soon as spring hits, I have already planted just from harvesting all of these seeds. And this is an enormous amount of seeds. This would be very expensive to buy. Well, not extremely expensive, but this would be a lot of money. So you're saving money, you're saving time, because there's a lot of seeds already going on in my garden that are just waiting for some good weather. And it doesn't look like it outside today, but the good weather is right around the corner, so we want to be ready as soon as possible. Also, you want to make sure that you have ample seeds on hand. So these little survival seed packs are really wonderful to start gathering. And you can get them for veggies and for herbs and things like that, and having them on hand is really, really important. These are some onion seeds. Those are really great to have, you know, just things on hand, and then you're learning how to collect them, how to germinate them, how to plant them, what these particular things like. You can use your references in your grow books and figure out exactly what everything likes, because everything is going to do its own thing. It wants its own sunlight, it wants its own particular water, it wants its own particular nutrients. Some things are nitrogen heavy, some things put nitrogen back in the soil. So everything does its own thing, and to understand what it's going to do in its environment and what it thrives on and what makes it die makes you a more successful gardener, and you're going to have a lot more fun and be able to do it for years to come. And it is such a valuable skill. It's really, really worth doing. So in my next video, I'm going to be teaching you how to plant these germinated seeds into little seed starter cups, and how to make your own potting soil. So you can spend a lot of money on gardening if you want, or you don't really have to spend much money at all. It just sort of depends on how much effort you want to put into it. I also suggest learning companion planting. Things not only like their own particular area, sun, water, nutrients, they also like to be around other plants more or less, depending on what they like. So growing for your zone is very important. There's different growing zones. The higher the number, the warmer it gets. So you're going to be more limited to what you can grow in the summer during the hotter months. You're going to have a better spring and fall, and in the colder weather, you're going to be more successful in the summer. And some places have just a really, really short growing time. So starting your seeds indoors can be very, very important. This can take a lot of equipment. You can use a greenhouse. That can be very costly, or although you can make your own out of scraps, things like that. There's all kinds of super cool DIY, how to make your own greenhouse out of like used plastic bottles and things like that. You can also use a big clear plastic tub and just sort of put it over the top and take them in and out of your house every day. You can also use a heating pad if that's within your budget. So there's a lot of different areas that will sort of extend your season throughout the year. But don't be afraid to start your seeds a little bit later. So like in my zone, I'm in zone 8. I can start anywhere from mid-February, and then I'm just going to keep on planting. Now, I don't have a really great setup for seeds. Throughout the year, I've tried different things. I was just bringing them in and out of my house, and then I sort of forgot about them, and they got snowed on. Not a big deal. Some of them might still make it. It's okay, and I can always buy starters at the other end. But what I'm also going to do is just keep planting throughout the year, called succession planting. And what that does is it makes sure that not everything is popping off at the same time, which can be really, really great. So you don't end up with 200 tomatoes that now you have to can, give away, freeze, do something with. It's a little bit overwhelming when you have a lot of other stuff on your plate, and then you get more throughout the year. I had tomatoes one year all the way until Thanksgiving. I had to pick them a little bit orange and then put them in a paper bag, but it was really, really nice to be like Thanksgiving Day and still having fresh tomatoes. So, and then also on the back end, you can get them a little bit earlier by planting a little bit earlier. So that can be a really great way to have multiple areas that you get to have a chance to make your seeds successful. Another really great thing to practice if you're wanting to get really good at doing seeds is microgreens. Microgreens are just basically the seed with the first, that's the sprout, you know, with that first little cotyledon, and they are packed full of nutrients. They're super wonderful for you. You can throw them in your veggie wrap, your salad, your smoothies, your anything. They're just really, really versatile and so, so good for you. Like take the place of vitamins every day, kind of good for you. And you are going to understand more, the more that you grow them, a little bit more about growing seeds and how easy it is if you take care of them. It's not easy if you don't know what you're doing, just like everything. But just like everything, with a little bit of practice and a little bit of elbow grease, you can be super duper successful, and it's a really, really good skill to have. Now you want to make sure that you are planting things together that like to be together too. So like with tomatoes, you want to do some marigolds. Those are really wonderful companion plants because the marigolds will keep the tomato bugs away and all the bad stuff. So make sure that you get a book that includes some sort of companion planting area. That can be really, really good. Doing your own compost is an excellent thing to do. I always just add in maybe a third of compost, and then you get all of those good nutrients, and you can never go wrong. You can almost grow things just in compost, although it does need more air than that usually. It needs to be a little bit more aerated. But compost is an absolutely wonderful thing if you want to increase your growing abilities in general. So I hope that you feel much more capable of embarking on your seed starting journey, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. And if you did, please like, share, and subscribe. Mwah! Have a good day. Thanks for watching.